What is up, everybody? Welcome to Apocaflix Movies. This is the casting table where we choose some of our favorite characters and then cast our favorite actors and actresses in those roles. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and I am joined today by Brian Avalosino and Jake Berlin. What is up, guys?
How's it going?
Awesome.
Not bad,
I'm stoked to be back on a casting table.
We have done casting table in quarantine a couple times, I think. But I'm still not used to it. It's still because it's a bi-weekly show, so there's like more time in between them. But yes, it has been a while, and you're right. Jake is usually not on those, so we're glad to have you. And we had to have you on this one. I feel like us three are the biggest advocates of Disney's Hercules, which is the movie we are casting for today. One character in particular, and that is Meg, the female protagonist in the story of Disney's Hercules. And for me, she's been one of my favorite characters in any Disney movie, like because she's so different from. She's not even a princess, but she is the female lead in this story, and she's so different from the other female leads in other Disney movies. So that's why I always liked her.
She's a badass.
Oh yeah, she definitely is,
and she puts up with it. She puts up with the immature nature of him, and
Yes.
she counters him very well. She doesn't let anything get by her, and she doesn't take anybody's crap, and that's not very. I mean, that's in a lot of ways that's a classic Disney princess trait, but it's done in a different way than it is in some of the other movies.
Yeah, she ain't no damsel in distress, that's for sure.
Yeah,
or she fakes being a damsel in distress.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing with this movie. This movie is so unique.
Perfect.
And it's very dark, actually, for a kids movie. But it's dealing with Greek mythology, so of course you're going to have that. But we have it announced that the Russo Brothers are working on producing a live-action adaptation for this movie, which we casted our Hercules for like months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go check that casting out on the channel.
There will be a card. I'll put a card right above me for that video.
Yes, but for this one, we are doing Meg. If you haven't seen Disney's Hercules, then what are you doing? Go watch it after or before this video, because then you'll know why we're casting Meg. So how this usually works is we just go one by one and we say our first choice first. That way, if our first choice happens to be somebody's second, they don't steal it first. And then we do our second choice, and then we do some honorable mentions. We kind of explain why we want that character. And I guess for this movie, we could kind of talk about how we want them to treat her in live action form. So let's start with you, Jake. Yes,
Jake.
Let's start with you. Let's start with Jake. Yes. I don't think he's going to steal one of ours, because I think his is going to be so unique. His choices always are. I think yours are always unique because you watch so much TV, and so you know so many TV actors. But yes, Jake, let's go to you. Who is your first choice to play Meg from Hercules?
Yeah, so I actually had a very difficult time doing this.
We were just talking about that. This one was hard.
I can see a lot of great young women playing this role, and I also had a very hard time because a lot of the names that I saw or would think of are maybe just a little too old for what I'm going for, because I'm pairing this with my Hercules choice, which was Alexander Ludwig. And so I always had him in my mind, like, okay, who would go good with him? What's kind of like the right age? And so, and I had a really hard time ranking these two.
Yeah.
I'll save my honorable mentions for later, because if I had the choice and age didn't come down to it, my honorable choices would actually be my number one and my number two. But that's not the case here. My number one to play Meg for Hercules is Dakota Johnson. I think Dakota Johnson is one of the biggest, most talented young actresses in the business right now. It took her a long time to get there. She was well known for the 50 Shades of Grey movies, right? Like, she kind of got stereotyped a little bit into that role. She was kind of like the hot girl in the corner. But then she was in roles like Bad Times at El Royale, right? Where she shined, absolutely shined. She's been in a couple other projects as well where she's really proven herself as an actress. And she's always had it in her blood because both her parents were actors as well. She fits that mold. And the reason why I pick her first is because she has this very cool girl, snappy attitude that fits very well with Meg. And I can see her and Alexander Ludwig countering with each other very well about how, and Alexander Ludwig, he's played the roles before where he's kind of like this immature state, right? He kind of plays this boyish vibe. And that's kind of what Hercules is a little bit. And you throw in a very mature, a little bit of an older Meg in there. And I think it pairs very well. And so my first choice is Dakota Johnson.
I did not expect that. That is like for what I was expecting from you, that was completely out of left field. But I could see it, man. So many people gave her crap for the 50 Shades franchise, and it's kind of like the Twilight actors and all them trying to get away from those stereotypes or typecasting, like you said. But I wouldn't be mad at that. I think she could pull it off.
And she was just in another project that I can't think of at the moment. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh yes, there you go. Good call. Peanut Butter Falcon. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, she's done other stuff. She's done like romantic comedies and like and everything that I've seen her in, other than 50 Shades, like I've liked her in. So
if you've never seen her in Bad Times at El Royale,
yeah, I need to watch that. Definitely do. You guys have praised it ever since it came out. All right, Brian, let's go to you, man. Who is your number one choice for Meg?
So Meg, like we said, not your typical damsel in distress type character.
Wait, real quick, Brian, you had a major reaction to me revealing
I was wondering.
What was that?
So, like I said, there is a sarcastic tone that Meg plays, and that is absolutely what I went after, was that sarcasm type character, I guess. And this actress is my favorite sarcastic type character, and that's Aubrey Plaza. She is I like Jacob's reaction. That makes me happy. She, to me, is like,
Brian, you stole my number one.
Oh,
we have a steal.
No,
it's okay. It's okay. I have
You want me to tell you?
Wow.
Jake stole my number two.
Whoa, that is crazy. Because we all had a hard time with this one. So how did we get so close?
Well, like I told you guys, they weren't
crazy.
originally in my top two, but it all came down to age.
Okay. Well, I'll change my number one now. But go ahead, Brian. Proceed. She's perfect, though.
She is. She. I can absolutely, just that sarcasm that she always has whenever she's acting, like that's how Meg is throughout this movie, and just kind of like she kind of rips on Hercules throughout the movie, and Aubrey Plaza is like the best at doing that when she's acting, and probably in real life too. So yeah, that's exactly what I went for. I won't say too much, because go ahead and you can say your reasons why.
I'll just comment on her being your number one. But yeah, I'm gonna change mine. I'm just gonna move my number two to my number one, and then my first honorable mention into my number two. But no, she's like, as far as personality wise for playing Meg, she's absolutely perfect. Like, I was having such a hard time. And then as soon as I thought of Aubrey Plaza, I was like, she's the perfect one. And the funny thing for me is, like, a lot of people, and I do not want them to cast Chris Pratt for this. I love Chris Pratt, but I do not want them to cast Chris Pratt for Hercules. If they did that and they cast Aubrey Plaza, they're in Parks and Rec, they're married. And the way their relationship is, like, he's kind of a doofus on Parks and Rec, but Hercules is kind of a doofus in this movie. Yeah. It would be kind of similar to their relationship in Parks and Rec, but no, I don't want him to be Hercules, but I would love her to be Meg, which she would go perfect with my Zac Efron casting of Hercules. They were in a movie together, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, but they weren't each other's romantic.
Terrible.
It's terrible. That movie's terrible. But he was trying to date Anna Kendrick in that movie, and his brother was trying to date Aubrey Plaza, but they were still in the movie together. Oh, they were also in Dirty Grandpa together, which Dirty Grandpa's funny. I think Dirty Grandpa is funny. It's not a great movie, but that's actually funny. And she's like trying to do Robert De Niro in that movie. It's freaking hilarious. But no, she's a great casting. Yeah.
It's okay. Yep. I'm not the biggest fan of Aubrey Plaza. I don't it's okay, that's the wrong way of saying it. I don't particularly like her comedy. I think it gets old after a while. I think it's more fitting for a 30-minute comedy like a Parks and Rec, not a full-length movie. And so that's why I kind of don't see her in that role. And also, Meg is definitely sarcastic, but she's not sarcastic to the point where it's slapstick like an Aubrey Plaza, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, I wouldn't call her slapstick, but that's just
either.
Your opinion. But have you guys seen that movie where it has Elizabeth Olsen in it, and where she's following her on Instagram or something, and then she like starts becoming obsessed with her? I've never seen it, but I heard she's good in that movie. She is. She's good. It's not her typical comedy role. Yeah, it's like a almost kind of serious, more serious movie. Yeah. But yeah, she was my number one choice. So I'll go to my number two choice as my number one. And here, look, I'm talking about like acting talent and just who they are. I'm leaving any outside stuff out of this, okay? My number one choice before I even thought of Aubrey Plaza is Amber Heard. For me, like as a kid, it's animated, but whatever. Like as a kid, like Meg captured sexiness for me. Like I was just like, I don't know. The first shot of her, she's like bending over a lake, like wringing her hair out. And they totally sexualize that character, like they have other characters, that's totally fine. But for me, like Amber Heard is one of the most attractive people on the planet, and she there's certain roles for her that wouldn't work, but certain roles that absolutely would work, and I think this would work for her. I think she's great as Mara in the Aquaman movie and in Justice League. So for me, I need somebody who can just capture that same feeling of Meg on screen, and I do think she could pull off the comedy bits and the sarcasm and all of those things. She's kind of like sarcastic towards Aquaman a lot too in that movie. So regardless of any controversy going outside of her acting career, I think Amber Heard would be a great choice to play Meg. If I had the ability to not know about the things that go on in her normal life, she would definitely be up there. I think that she kind of embodies that Meg in a way, not just as far as like acting, but also the way she looks. Like she looks like a Meg. Kind of, she looks like a Meg, and so it's definitely a good choice. It just sucks because she did such a good job in Aquaman, and she was so good, but it just feels like her career is going to go down the drain because of everything. And it sucks because everything going on with them is not confirmed on either side. So but the thing is, people don't care. They hear it and they think it's true. So that's that. She's done now. Apparently, that's what people are saying. But I think that she would be great in this role. Cool.
I'm not a huge fan of her, to be honest. So that's why I'm gonna.
That's fair. I mean, that is fair. Jake's not a big fan of Aubrey Plaza, so we have it there. All right, Jake. Let's go to your number two choice.
All right, so you guys were talking about how my choices are always unique, and this one is definitely a name that you guys may not recognize. She's on a
here
TV
we go.
actress,
It's another person for Vikings.
No, I'll save that. That's for my honorable mentions. That choice is for my
of course.
You got to pair the Viking people together, man. Come on. Anyway, so this young actress, I think, does not get enough credit. I don't think that she is in enough projects. I think she is one of the best working actresses today, top 3, top 5, whatever you want to say, in my opinion, and that is Micah Monroe. She was in 2 films in 2014 called It Follows and The Guest. She was the lead in It Follows. She was the co-lead with Dan Stevens in The Guest, and then she's been in a bunch of other projects since then, like Hot Summer Nights and Villains and stuff like that. She was also she was Bill Pullman's daughter in Independence Day 2, so that kind of gives her some bad cred because she was in that movie. But I don't think that I don't know if she searches big roles or if she's sought out, but I think that she's so incredibly underrated, and she's not just a really good, talented overall actress that has played in all different genres. but she kind of embodies that like strong female protagonist, because in a lot of the movies that she plays, she's a strong female protagonist who kind of has to goes through these up and downs. Specifically, those two movies I talked about, It Follows and The Guest. Like, she was the one who was essentially leading these movies, and it's kind of when she popped on the scene. And also, I like the idea. I'm much more. Obviously, I would love someone like I don't know, like a Margot Robbie or something like that play Meg. Like that, obviously, like that'd be killer. But I like the idea of casting people who are very unknown to the public, because then there's no expectations around it, where, you know, we've seen it in the past with specific movies and titles that have like these big names in them and they don't live up to the hype. And so I want someone who isn't as well known, but who is established in the business. And I think Micah Monroe is the perfect choice for that.
Yeah, I know her from It Follows, and she's fantastic in that movie. And like you said, Jake, like, of course, the first name I thought of was Margot Robbie, but I don't want Margot Robbie to play every single role out there. You know, she's killing it. She has her trademark role in Harley Quinn. Like, it's like kind of like how they gave Naomi Scott Jasmine. Like, I want somebody to elevate their career from this casting.
You know what that's funny about that is I thought of her when I thought of Micah Monroe, Naomi Scott. That's the exact reason I thought of, because she got that role because of Power Rangers.
Yeah, exactly.
Micah Monroe, she could get this role because of a movie like It Follows or The Guest.
Yeah, so she's a fantastic talent. And when I was looking up actresses, I saw her name and I was like, where have I seen her in? And then you reminded me it's from It Follows, which is a great movie, by the way. I haven't seen The Guest, so that's why I'm not talking about The Guest. But which I heard that's Dan Stevens is in that, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I would not be mad at that at all, because she's very talented.
I didn't know who she was. I just looked her up, and I know her. She was in Honey Boy.
Yeah, she was in Honey Boy. You are correct.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great. I think I like that more than your number one.
Fair. So my second was Dakota Johnson, and
I'm the only one who doesn't have a steal. Yes.
Well, and then I was gonna say, oh, okay, I'll move up my third to 2, but then you guys just shat all over it, which was Margot Robbie.
Oh my God, we're just ruining Brian's day. Hey, you got Aubrey Plaza, man. My goodness.
So I don't know. Now I'm questioning it because you guys just pooped all over her.
Dude, that's so funny. Like, we just ruined like any argument Brian's gonna give for Margot Robbie.
I was like, oh, okay, I'll work around Dakota Johnson, and then you guys just went after that. Like, oh, well.
You know what's funny about that? I could have thought of any big name actress, but Margot Robbie was just the first one to pop in my head. I don't know.
I actually thought of her, but I was like, no.
When you said that, I literally went, oh, son of.
It's like she can't just play every sexy role on earth.
I know.
So, on to you, Jacob. Oh, this way. On to you.
Wait, so you don't even have one? All right.
I did.
I mean,
my number 2 would have been.
Not that you have to explain it, but why? Like, why were you going to choose Margot Robbie?
Well, if I'm gonna pick between the two, I'm gonna choose Dakota Johnson first. Yeah. But because I think she would be perfect for it. To be honest, I kind of basically just flipped a coin between her and Aubrey Plaza, because I think either of them I would not be opposed. I would be cheering up and down for either of them. It's because part of me goes, no, Aubrey Plaza would be better because I think of the sarcastic type stuff. And then I start to think about it and then I go, well, Dakota Johnson is a fantastic actress and she would be kind of an awesome person to play that role as well. So honestly, I'm fine with either of those two. Jake pretty much said everything for Dakota Johnson. She's fantastic. By no means are those 50 Shades of Grey movies good, but she's literally like the only lifeline that's keeping that movie even like mildly watchable. So she's great. And then Margot Robbie's just Margot Robbie. I mean, she doesn't really do anything wrong for the most part. So,
yeah. So, well, this would have been my honorable mention, but and it's kind of like out of left field. And I do really like this actress, and I think she could do it. And it would require, it doesn't even matter because Meg, whatever race Meg is, doesn't matter about the character. Like, she's just a person. But my honorable mention, which is now my number 2, is Megan Good. For me, I actually, like I said, and I don't think there's any shame in this. Like, obviously, they sexualize the character, and you want somebody sexy playing this role. And I think Megan Good would actually do a really good job in this role. And for me, I keep thinking of who the Hercules would be opposed to this Meg that we're casting. And regardless of who it was, I keep, like, a lot of people keep saying they're going to cast Chris Hemsworth. Duh. I mean, fine. I could see Chris Hemsworth working with any of our actresses that we've named. And so that would work. And for me, I actually really like her. When she popped up in Shazam, I was like, whoa, like, that's Megan Good. And she was great in Shazam because she was playing the little girl as an adult. And she was awesome in that movie. So that would be my second choice.
It's a good choice, and she doesn't get enough love. I think she's a really good actress. She was a hot commodity when she was younger, and then she kind of, fell off the table a little bit.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my by default second choice because my first was stolen.
Yes, I'm the only one who kept my 2.
Maybe this is like the goal now. You pick somebody unique enough to where they don't get stolen.
Do you realize I was screwed either way by my picks? If I went with Aubrey Plaza, Jake was going to get Dakota Johnson. If I went with Dakota Johnson, you would have had Aubrey Plaza. I was done.
And the moment. You know what's crazy? The order I went in. Like, I just randomly selected this order. It could have changed everything if I went first or I went second. So that hasn't happened in a while where, like, so much controversy of stills. So that was fun. So how do you guys, were you guys thinking of the musical aspect when you were making your choices at all, or no?
No, because I don't want it to be a musical.
Yeah.
I want it to be like Mulan.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do because here's the thing. If you make it like Mulan, then it's just a Greek mythology story of Hercules. But if you make it with, the thing is, the music is the identity of that movie. So it's hard. But I hope, look, if they leave the music out, they better go all out with the special effects and the Titans and all this stuff, because I've seen Hercules movies where they just make it all like gritty and like he's just fighting physical beings and he's not fighting Titans and big monsters and stuff like that. Like I want it to look like the end of Hercules, like the battle, like the actual animated battle. I want it to look like that. So we'll see. But Meg, I'm excited to see her in live action. I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I do have a couple honorable mentions if we want to get to those real quick.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
I can just name drop them. I mentioned that a lot of these actresses, it has to do with age for me. And I talked about how I didn't want big stars in the role. The one big star that fits the age gap that I left off the list because I didn't want a big name was Ana de Armas.
I thought about her.
She can do no wrong.
She would cast her in anything.
She can do anything. She can do anything. But as far as the age thing goes, I have 2 names, and they would be my number 1 and my number 2. My number 1 would be Katherine Winnick, and she actually plays Alexander Ludwig's mother on Vikings. She plays her mother,
when he's an adult.
Yes, because there's a giant time gap in the show, and so you understand why.
Oh, okay.
But she looks very young. And she could probably play the role right now, really, if she wanted to, but it all just depends. I think that she's brilliant. She's tough. She's badass. She has this sarcasm to her. It's funny. She was actually one of my leading picks for Captain Marvel as well. A number of years ago. I think that she's one of those names that doesn't get enough credit, and she works her tail off. And the other one is currently my favorite working actress, and that is Jessica Chastain. I think she is absolutely perfect for the role. I think the way that she acts, the way that she portrays characters, the way that she embodies characters and kind of blends into these roles is incredible. And every time I'm looking at this, I keep thinking to myself, okay, no matter if they're producing, they're still going to be involved.
Oh,
And having
yeah.
Jessica Chastain worked with the Russos is just like a picture perfect scenario. And so I would love to see her in the role, but unfortunately, I just think that those two are a little too old for the role.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Vikings actress, but I wouldn't mind Chastain in anything. Like for me, the first thing I think of with Meg is her hair. So I would love if they did cast her, I want them to dye her hair and make it long, kind of like how Meg's hair is. But as long as they do that, I'm totally fine with that.
Jacob, I'm surprised you didn't. I was expecting you to say Haley Steinfeld.
Me too.
So the funny thing is, I actually had her as my number one choice.
I was expecting it.
I erased it
100%
because
would have been.
I was also thinking about the singing part with that, because Meg does have a few solo freaking scenes in the movie where she starts singing, or maybe it's just one. But I did think of her, but to me, she's kind of I always choose her for everything. That's the main reason why I didn't. But I don't know. She doesn't necessarily feel like a Meg to me. But also, I chose her for everything. Like I think I've chosen her like 3 or 4 times on casting tables. So I got to leave it at rest.
Katherine Langford too, who kind of got the a little short change in Avengers Endgame as Tony's daughter. I think she's a name that really needs to be recognized here in the future.
Oh, the one who was going to play the older version. Yeah. What about the girl from the Wonderful Miss Maisel or whatever? I thought you had her in mind.
You know what? Old. Yeah, that's another thing is I think she's a little too far out of the age gap. She honestly, now that you say it, I completely just spaced on her name.
Yeah.
If I could choose anybody now that you say that, she would be my number one choice. She would. But she is in that age gap I think is a little too old.
There's a lot of actresses who would be a good fit, but there's a reason why I wouldn't choose them. Like Naomi Scott would be a great fit, but you're not going to put her in another leading live action.
Yeah, what if they have a Disney princess team up movie, man?
Exactly. So you wouldn't want to do that anyway. Like you wouldn't cast someone as Cinderella and then Snow White in this big live action universe. So, but I did have a really tough time with this one. Like out of all of our names, there's only like 3 names where I'm like, yeah, for sure she could play a good Meg. And the other ones I'm like, I guess so. So it is a hard casting, to be honest, but I think it's because the character's so unique. It's not our typical princess character or something.
So it makes her so good.
Someone who has no personality, she has a ton of personality. So.
That's what makes her so good.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on Meg, guys?
I think we're gonna have to do the entire cast. Zeus and Hades got to come.
You know what
next.
I was thinking? I was thinking the same thing.
Or the what are the 2 dudes' names?
Pain and Panic.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do the entire thing. We are really gonna have to do the entire.
Or are we like automatically casting Danny DeVito as?
Easy.
Like no, we can't even cast
because
because
you got to be a voice for, and if you do, you got to do a voice for that one, unless you do some kind of really cool practical effects. But
it would probably be like motion capture and voice. Like you can do something like Rocket Raccoon,
and you can easily put someone else in the motion capture.
That's exactly, easy. And have Danny DeVito do the voice. It has to.
That'd be sick.
It has to.
That'd be sick.
We don't even need to do that one. All right. Well, that's gonna do it.
He's not Pain or Panic. That he's
no.
Phil.
I know we're talking about Phil.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I was like,
no, I know.
Here's the thing. Why? Look, I know a musical would make it cheesy, but how do you get rid of that song, the Phil song, when he's training him?
Hercules has some of the best songs. Period. In that movie. Here's my thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to. We were about to end, and I went off.
Fine.
Here's my thing with this movie. The singing is what makes it different from every other Hercules movie that we've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
We get it. We know the story of Hercules, big, strong, but invincible. Like we got that. We got it. This is the only one that has done something different with like music and stuff like that. And these songs are freaking amazing. I mean, look at when they did the Disney like on TV thing where Ariana Grande sang that one song. It was like #1 on YouTube for like a week. So the songs to me are almost kind of one of the things that makes this movie. Sorry, this has nothing to do with casting.
No. It does though, because it's important, because we're gonna, if that's true, then we're gonna have to see them sing on screen or lip sing on screen. So
Yeah.
It will change the whole entire movie, actually. And I'm torn on it because, like, at one time, I kind of want them to make it like Mulan, but at the same time, the music is why that movie is what it is. So it's really tough. I hope they, how once he becomes famous, like, they start making all this merchandise about, like sandals with his name on it and all this stuff. I hope they do that.
They better do the Knight's Tale thing where they snuck in the Nike logo.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Just little things like that, because that's what
like
makes
on his sandals. There's a little swoosh.
Yeah, that's what makes this movie so different. Is like
he has the air Hercs.
It puts
the air
like
Hercs
Hercules, like if it was in modern day, but it's still in olden times.
Yeah, he's the Jordan of that mythology.
Exactly. I was just thinking that of watching Last Dance recently too. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Casting Table. Let us know in the comment section who would be your perfect casting for Meg from Hercules, and let us know what you thought of our thoughts. Which of our choices do you like best? We would love to hear your thoughts. Again, please subscribe to Apocaflix Movies and hit that like button if you have not, and go to tpublic.com and look up Apocaflix. You can find some t-shirts like the one I'm wearing. I think I'm the only one wearing a Apocaflix t-shirt right now. That's not an Apocaflix t-shirt, right, Brian's?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Cover your chest. No, but that's going to do it for us. For Jake, for Brian, for Jacob, thank you for watching. We will see you all next time.